my name's Lindsay Sylvester, and I chose it actually through a very lengthy exploratory journey of changing careers. I ultimately wanted to help people, but not necessarily touch people, if that makes sense. I really enjoy the fact that although we don't get to see the patient, that this is going to go into somebody's mouth and help their overall health with with eating and digestion, and overall a lot of people that have had maybe a rough life, or just don't have the confidence, because when you give people teeth, they go into an interview and then their personality, you can just see it through their smile, which I greatly appreciate. And I went through looking at other prosthetics through doing war amps and that kind of thing. But I like that this is a little more in demand while still being specialized, because those are almost way specialized. I like that I can basically go anywhere in Canada and work, which is awesome. I studied at George Brown College at the Waterfront campus in Toronto for 3 years. Busy, and it's definitely got its trying times and their ups, because I had no idea of any anatomy. I wasn't the science kid in school. I liked science, but I never really did all that well in science. So I was going in with nothing at all. And I'm also a mature student. So I went in no, literally zero. So there are some times where it got really stressful. And you gotta kind of push through those. You have to really love that idea again of helping people, and you grow your love for anatomy and the appreciation. But if you don't love it, I'd say within the first year, you might want to consider doing something else. But when you really love it, and there's so many different things: partials, dentures, crown and bridge. You can go into ortho, which does a lot of pediatric work, which I like. So I like that you never really get bored. So I don't really have, I'm very blessed. I don't have a lot of barriers at the moment. I know some of my friends have barriers, especially if they're international students. I mean, it's great. It's fantastic that CATR has made it more accessible. I think that's a substantial leap in the right direction. But even having the yearly payment into the regulatory body, a lot of people hear that almost $3,000 a year, and it really turns people off. Even if they're doing really well, that's a lot of money a year. So you really got to be committed as far as being an RDT in that aspect goes. But I don't know, I've been in 4 different labs, so they're all really welcoming. I don't really find getting my foot in the door all that restrictive. A lot of people like having new help and fresh eyes. So I don't really find that it's stifling that much. I think it's going in the right direction for sure. I think, again, me personally, we had the teachers' assistants, which were kind of our mentors, and they were absolutely hands down fantastic. The program definitely needs to make sure, the George Brown or other schools and colleges really need to make sure that they have those teachers assistants, that it's not just somebody that's been in the field for 30 years, that these are a little bit more fresh, and they can be oh, I can actually do this kind of thing. Or if they have any hesitations or reservations, they're fantastic to have. I don't know, I'm pretty self-motivated, so I mean, when I have been in the labs, that I have been in, there's all kinds of mixed walks of life, ethnic backgrounds, different backgrounds, people from different countries. Oh, this is my third career. I've been doing this for 30. I really enjoy it for that as well. For me, it was more the opportunity. I know that there's a little bit of a debate going on with the fact that RDTs feel that maybe they should get paid a little bit more, even initially out of school, because they do have that extra amount like throughout the year. But the opportunity for me far surpasses like anything to do with money, which I wish everybody could do that. Like I wish everybody was blessed in that fashion. Like I just got the opportunity to go manage a lab in Sudbury, which if I hadn't gotten my RDT wouldn't have been possible. They still would have hired me to be a dental associate within the lab itself, but I wouldn't be able to like run it, obviously, because I don't have that license. I like the responsibility. And again, I like that it's stuff that everybody is putting out for the patient. You always have to remember that there's a patient on the other end. We always have deadlines and people to please, but like you can't just be like, oh, this is good enough, send it out. Would you put it in your mouth? Like you really got to think about that. And I think that's one thing that RDTs really got to keep in mind. When and if they want to go to an RDT, you really got to have that passion for the fact that this isn't you. Like, you know what I mean? That this is going to somebody that you can't see. And if you wouldn't put it in your mouth, then it probably shouldn't go to that person. Probably managing my own lab. I'm not 100% sure about owning my own lab. I used to be a pastry chef, so the entrepreneurial thing of even owning my own bakery isn't really like my jam. But I don't know. I want to be able to be in a lab that I've like been around for a while and like just have a good team, because that's the other thing I like about this industry is everybody kind of gets to do their own work, but it's still very much a team environment. So I don't know. I want to just be happy and like making a decent income and just like living life, I guess. So I came from an art background. Obviously, I was a pastry chef, I said previously. And I find that there is a crazy amount of crossover between building the foundation for a cake or an art piece or anything to do with this industry. And the fact that you have to think outside of the box all the time. Yes, a molar is a molar, but none of them are the same. So, okay, that oil painting's cool, but that oil painting is different than that one. It's different than that one. Everybody's got different techniques. Everybody's different piping techniques, icing techniques. You get to MacGyver a little bit, which is always fun. Like, oh, this happened. Oh, well, maybe we can fix it or make it better this way. I think it still is a little bit of a trade personally. Like, I think there's a lot of artistic things that have to do with like building a structure. We are building structures for people's mouth. That's what I love about it. I love that it's a little bit of engineering meets art. I think that's so cool. That like blows my mind. I think it's so important. I think in general, like, is there really any is there a health profession that's not regulated? We need people to make sure that we are protecting the patient as much as possible. Nurses, doctors, we're all dentists, hygiene. we all get intertwined in some way, shape, or form. Like I was looking at maybe going eventually into sick kids because I know they have a pediatrics department. So like the regulatory body really does have your best interests in mind, not only for the patient, but also for the profession itself. Personally, the last thing we want is not to be able to regulate ourselves, and then the government's going to step in and it's not going to be the same. There's going to be so many leaps and bounds and loops and hoops and circus. It's not going to be beneficial. We really have to make sure that this stays within people that really understand what's going on with the profession itself, with the dentist, the communication between labs, milling centers. It's all for the best interest of everybody and the patient. We're very important. With that, the dentist is blessed with his abilities to be able to do the surgeries, and the hygienist is blessed to do the things that they can do with scaling and cleaning, and like it's all again a team environment. But without us, like nothing would honestly get done. They don't have the time or the means or the amount of space to do all of these different appliances, or if the lab specializes. Like we're very important. We're like the foundation that people don't necessarily see all the time. But if we were to disappear, I think it would be like an earthquake through every single dentist and office alike, for that matter. Don't be afraid when you get into a new lab to voice new ideas. Sometimes, unfortunately, it still will fall on I don't want deaf ears or people that don't want to hear new ideas because their way is the best because they've been doing it for 32 years plus. But you know what? Sometimes my experiences, they really do appreciate the fact that you bring something new and fresh and maybe something that they haven't thought of before. So make sure that you speak up. You just have to figure out a way to do it without like stepping on anybody's toes. Well, like usually I introduce it like, hey, do you mind, or what do you think of doing it this way, or etc. etc. How about we do it this way because it would be more efficient. I find if you play with a little bit more of the efficiency, it ends up being listened to a little bit more. But I've suggested stuff at pretty much every single job I've ever been to, and it's worked out fairly well. Sometimes not so much. Sometimes it only lasts a few weeks. And other times it gets implemented, like the place I'm at now is running the milling center because it was inefficient. And I came in with a suggestion and now they're using it. So